Okay guys, in this video we're going to go over nested conditionals, and what we're going to do is, what a nested conditional is, it's an if statement or a conditional statement inside of another if statement. We have not done this yet, but what's really nice with the structure is we could check for a first condition, and then based on that we can start doing stuff inside. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have two numbers like this. Let's just say 8 and, I don't know, 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, if the first number is greater than the second number, which it is, and then if the first number is even, which it is, we're going to swap the numbers like this, 3 and 8. So we're going to swap them. If the first number is greater than the second number, and the number is odd, so odd would look like this, then we're going to make them both 0. Okay? Now the one thing you need to know is, how do I know if a number is odd? We're going to talk about this thing called modulus division. And what this thing means is the following. So let's say I take 8 modulus 3. What that is the old school 8 divided by 3. So it's 8 divided by 3. And if we do this, we get how many times does 3 go into 8? Twice. How much is left over? Remainder 2. So what the problem is going to return back is 2. Sorry. Yeah, okay, that's correct. Okay, good. That's what modulus division does. So let's check another one. Let's take 15 and divide it by, I don't know, 7. Okay? How many times does 7 go into 15? 7 times 2 is 14. What's left over? Remainder 1. So the answer to that would be 1. How about if we took 15 and we did modulus 2? How many times does 2 go into 15? 7 times. And the remainder is 1. How about if we took 16 and we did modulus 2? We get 16. Well, 2 goes into 16 8 times with a remainder of 0. How about if we took 18 and we did modulus 2? Well, 2 goes into 18 9 times and the remainder is 0. How about if we took 21 modulus 2? And that would be, let's see here, 10 would be 20. And then we have a remainder of 1. So there's something we're noticing here when we do this operation. And what we're noticing here is when we have an even number, like 16, and we do modulus 2, the remainder is 0. When we do 18 and it's modulus 2, the remainder is 0. So that's also even. This is odd. So the remainder is 1. So whenever it's odd, we get a remainder of 1 when we do modulus 2. And whenever it's even, we get a remainder of 0. We're going to use that to help us, okay? So let's go ahead and do this stuff here. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and make a new file. And I don't need this, so I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to go ahead and go to new JFrame. Okay. And I'm going to make this real simple, just for teaching purposes here. I am going to do a text field, another text field, and I'm going to do a label. Where's the label? Okay. And a button. So I'm going to call this JText field, it's important to name these, num1 LBL, num2 LBL, and I'm going to call this, it should be actually num1 TF, sorry. This is num2 TF, and this one is output LBL. Okay. The text, you can just replace it with 0 if you want. Doesn't really matter. Let's replace it with a few zeros so it's a little bit bigger. And we'll go ahead and replace this with zeros. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and write the code. All right. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say int num1 equals integer.tryparse this dot num1tf dot get text. Okay, we already know all this. Okay, I'm lazy, so I'm going to, for some reason, doesn't like tryparse. Integer.parseIt. Okay. All right. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm just going to call it num2 here, and num2tf. All right. So let's go ahead and do our conditionals here. If num1 is greater than num2, so that will take us inside this if statement. Okay. Now we're going to do this. Check to see if num1 is even. So the way we do this, we say if num1 mod 2 is equal to 0. That means, again, that's going back to our remainder division before. So again, that's going back to here. So if we do this, something like they put in 16. So let's just say num1 equals 16. Say num1 equals 16. So num1 mod 2 will equal 16 mod 2, which equals 8 remainder 0. The 0 is actually what it's returning. It just returns the 0. So we know that that's even. We don't know what this is because we're getting it from the user. But if it's even, we're going to swap the numbers. So we're going to do something kind of weird here. We're going to do this. We're going to create something called int temp. And we're going to make that equal num1. Now we're going to say num1 equals num2. And then num2 equals temp. So what we did was we swapped the value of num1 and num2. We just created a temporary cup to hold num1. We said, all right, take num1 and make it equal to num2, and then take num2 and make it equal to temp, which is num1. This is the transitive property. This is A equals B, and B equals C, so A equals C. That's basically all that is right there. That's kind of what's going on there. You don't need that though, okay? Now we're going to say else. Else, that means it's odd. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say num1 equals 0 and num2 equals 0. So if they're odd, we're just going to turn them both to 0, okay? Now that we've done our nested if statement here, so this stuff here only gets executed if num1 is greater than num2, okay? And we're going to do this. Else. And when is this getting executed? This else is getting executed if we follow up the line, if this is false. Else we're just going to do this. Num1 equals, we're just going to put some random number here. Negative 99999. And then num2 equals negative 88888. This is just messing around. I mean, I'm just, just another condition so you can see basically a result of our answer so we know what's going on here. Okay, so now that we have num1 and num2 assigned, so we swapped them here. We went ahead and we made them equal to 0 here, so num1 is greater than num2, but it's not even, so it's 0. And then if num1 is not greater than num2, we're going to make them some weird numbers, right? So after we do this, we're going to say this. Actually, let's do this. This dot output label dot set text. So we're going to say num1 equals plus integer dot toString num1 plus quote space quote plus, so that'll just put a quote, num2 equals plus integer.toString num2. So we can't say num2 because we have to say integer.toString. If we don't do this, it won't turn into a string and it'll actually give you an error. So that's it, really. I don't think there's any more we need to do here. Let's go ahead and run it. Let's see how it works. So let's test. We have 3 cases. Excuse me. There's actually one case we didn't code for. There's one case we didn't code for if they're equal. So let's say if they're greater than or equal. If they're greater than or equal, we'll do this, okay? If they're not, if it's less than, it'll do that. I just want to make sure we do that. You didn't have to do that. The else would have covered it before. So if we click num1 equals 0, now why? Well, we went ahead and said they're equal. This thing is, it works, but they're both 0, so we're swapping 0 to 0. So it doesn't do much there. How about if we said 8 and 3? So num1 is 3, num2 is 8, so we swapped them. Right? We went ahead and we said, wait a minute, well, we typed out num1 here, but here we swapped it. So it did this. 8 is greater than 3. 8 mod 2, so how many times does 2 go into 8? 4. What's the remainder? 0, so that'll be true. We went ahead and swapped them. That's good. Now let's do 7 and 3. So this is the next case. Okay, they're both 0. Why? Because we're doing this right here. Okay? Because 7 mod 2, 7 goes into 2 3 times with a remainder of 1, so this thing will be false, and I'll hop down to the else, okay? And let's do 1 and 3. And now we get our weird answers because num1 is not greater than num2. So what we've done here with this code is we implemented this algorithm right here. You know, we implemented that algorithm right there. And the whole thing with nested ifs part 1 is we put an if statement right here inside of another if statement. So if you're looking at this code, this if statement is right here inside. Now, could I put another if statement in here? Sure. I could do another if statement if I want. Could I do another if statement in there? Sure. I could do this forever. But just so you get the idea of this is a nested if, right? There's a lot of things we could do here. So in the next video, we'll go ahead and we'll solve another problem, which is going to use a different technique.